This is the True Self Manifestation Podcast, and I am your host, Angel Minuto. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, IFS-informed coach, and a little woo. Through the years, I've tried all the things to manifest the life I've always wanted, and with much exploration and curiosity, I've learned something major about manifestation. To successfully manifest, we must be in our worth and in alignment with our true self and the universe. And to do this, I use internal family systems to delve deep into addressing potential blocks and barriers that impact self-worth. Each week, I'll show you how to harness IFS to connect with your true self, boost self-worth, and conquer the barriers holding you back in life. Join me on this journey to live authentically, break free from limitations, and manifest your best life. It's not a coincidence you're here. Welcome to the True Self Manifestation Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the True Self Manifestation Podcast. I am Angel Minuto. I just realized that I don't think I've been introducing myself in the last few podcasts, so I'm going to do it today. I'm Angel Minuto. I am an IFS-informed coach and a licensed psychotherapist. I am here to tell you all the things about how I use internal family systems to get to the root of what is blocking our manifestations so that we can become aligned, connected, and empowered to manifest your most amazing life. And today is no different. I have a great episode for you today, all about perfectionism and manifestation. So I'll start with asking you a question. Is perfectionism blocking your manifestations? Because that is something you need to ask yourself. Perfectionism often feels like a safety net protecting us from failure and rejection. There's this illusion of control with perfectionism. And believe me, I get that because I'm all for control. And I definitely have a part of me that loves that illusion of control. And I do have a perfectionist part who loves to pop out. And then I have to kind of rein her in. Like, as in, like, right now, as I'm thinking about this and I'm talking, this perfectionist part is saying, like, are you going to re-record this? This is not perfect. And to that, I'm saying, no, I'm not going to re-record this part because it is just fine. And then she has to sit with that and it is okay. So the thing is that with these parts is that we believe that if everything is perfect, nothing can go wrong. But what we don't understand or we don't realize until it's too late is that perfectionism leads to burnout, frustration, and a constant sense of inadequacy. And this blocks our flow of abundance and creativity. And this is how perfectionism is blocking your manifestations. It can also lead you to feeling stuck, afraid to move forward out of fear of messing up. When we get into this cycle of perfectionism, we are missing that imperfect progress that we learn and grow from, that we build resiliency through. In the internal family systems model, perfectionism is seen as a protective part, a part that means well, but often ends up doing more harm than good. And this is the story of our personal lives. This part of us creates resistance, blocking the very manifestations we desire. When we acknowledge and soothe the perfectionist part, we can allow other parts of us that value growth, learning, and creativity to take the lead. So let me ask you, do you struggle with perfectionism? How has it impacted your life? Is perfectionism blocking your manifestations? Now let me ask, what would happen if you loosened your grip on perfection and embraced progress instead? I want you to imagine the freedom, the flow, and the abundance that could come your way. I mean, that sounds really good, doesn't it? Because that's what it's all about. When we can let go of this perfectionism that is so afraid of rejection and doing something wrong because deep down it doesn't either feel worthy, deserving, it feels that this is the only way it can be loved. And so it has to be perfect. But if we can work with this part and let this go, oh my goodness, that's powerful. Like that is, oh, so empowering. So you might be asking, how to stop? How do you stop? How do you stop perfectionism from blocking your manifestations? So, I have a step by step guide that I'm going to share with you today. And it is 8 practices to release the need for perfectionism. Now, by doing this, you are creating space for you to be you. You are lifting the veil of how others perceive you. And so importantly, for the universe to give you what you truly desire. So, the first practice that I have is recognizing the perfectionist part. And this practice is all about self reflection. Starting by acknowledging the perfectionism is a part of you, not the whole of you, that this is a protective part that has very likely developed over time due to past experiences, beliefs, or societal pressures. Take some time to reflect on when this part tends to show up in your life. Is it in work, relationships, personal goals? You can do this through journaling. Like it can be really powerful. Like journaling is a great tool. Write down specific instances where you felt the need to be perfect. What were you trying to achieve or avoid in those moments? Were you trying to protect yourself from failure, criticism, or something else? And then I want you to just thank this part for protecting you all this time. By thanking your parts, we're validating the work that they're doing for us, even if we don't agree with it. And this builds relationships with the part. When we build trust in relationships with our parts, they begin trusting us enough to let us, true self us, take the lead instead of overriding us, which is what blocks our manifestations. And I'm just thought about this, but like I'm giving you these 8 practices. You don't have to try to write them down. They're all going to be in the show notes. So just keep that in mind. Now, the second practice is self compassion. By using mindful self compassion, it's really helpful after you have recognized your perfectionist part. It's crucial to approach it with compassion rather than judgment. This part has been trying to protect you, and it does deserve kindness. So if you are noticing that there is judgment, maybe frustration or anger or any of those things, those are parts. Ask them to step aside while you are talking to this perfectionist part. When you feel compassion, openness, kindness, all those things, then you know you are in true self. Other things are parts. Ask them to step aside. Practice self compassion by speaking to yourself the way you would to a close friend, because we are usually much kinder to our friends. And yes, there's always going to be that person who always says, no, I'm not. I'm not kind to my friends. I don't believe that. And if you're not kind to your friends, maybe you really need to check yourself, because that part, for some reason, is pushing friends away. And there's something going on with that. But we are usually much kinder to our friends than we are ourselves. Like we don't expect perfection from our friends usually. Um, and we usually allow them grace and stuff. And so if we can start doing this for us, it really does shift things inside. So acknowledge the effort your perfectionist part has put in, but also gently remind it that it can be imperfect. You might say something like, I know you're trying to help me do my best, but it's okay if things aren't perfect. I'm enough just the way I am. And then engage in something that maybe the perfectionist part would want you to be perfect in something, I don't know, mundane, like something that doesn't have a lot of, like they say, like skin in the game. Um, don't do it perfectly. Do it imperfectly and sit with it and offer that part when it's feeling uncomfortable and it wants to maybe go back and fix it or something. Offer that part compassion and let it know it's okay. I'm going to show you that this is not detrimental to us. People will still love us if we do something imperfectly. That's going to help too. The third practice is setting realistic goals. Now, you probably have heard these SMART goals. They're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Perfectionism often stems from setting unrealistic or overly ambitious goals. By setting more realistic goals, you can reduce the pressure you put on yourself. And that's why I bring up these SMART goals, this specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound, because then it kind of gives you a framework to help teach your part how to rein it in. So break down your goals into smaller, more manageable steps. For example, instead of setting a goal to create the perfect presentation, set a goal to complete the first draft of the presentation by Friday. Focus on progress rather than perfection and celebrate all of the small victories along the way. So every little step you take, celebrate it. I love that. The fourth practice is the good enough mindset. Help this part shift its mindset from striving for perfection to embracing good enough. This doesn't mean lowering your standards, but rather recognizing that perfection is an unattainable goal. Perfection is a myth. Flat out, it's a myth. There is nothing that is perfect. So, why put yourself through so much and risk like burnout and risk overwhelm and exhaustion for it to be perfect when it could just be good enough? Like, you know how much time you would save? How much time you would have for you if you did things good enough instead of perfect? Oh, my goodness. It's a game changer. So before completing any task, ask yourself, is this good enough to achieve the desired outcome? If the answer is yes, let it go. Practice letting go of the need to polish every detail and trust that your effort is sufficient. Reassure the part that sufficient is good enough. And again, give it some love. Just give it some love. The fifth practice is a daily letting go ritual. So, creating a daily ritual that helps you let go of perfectionist tendencies and invites ease and flow. This could be as simple as a meditation, a short walk, a few deep breaths. Each morning or evening, take a few moments to consciously release any perfectionist thoughts or anxieties. You might use an affirmation like, I release the need to be perfect. I trust that what I create is enough, and I am enough. Invite the perfectionist apart to do this with you. The sixth practice is recognize progress and celebrate it with gratitude and acknowledgement. Regularly acknowledge and celebrate the progress you've made, no matter how small. This reinforces the idea that progress is more important than perfection. So at the end of each day or week, write down 3 things you accomplished or learned. Focus on the positive steps that you took, even if they were not perfect. And even if it's not finished, even if you are breaking things down and you're only part way through, still focus on that. This helps shift your focus from what didn't go perfectly to what went well. This is probably one of my favorite practices. Give yourself credit for all the things, no matter how small. Made the bed, give yourself credit. Got to work on time, give yourself credit. Did a small thing to take care of yourself, credit. You get all the props, all of the props. At first, it might not feel sincere, but keep going and you will notice the shift internally. And this is really such an excellent practice because oftentimes we are laying in bed at night and we are focusing, like hyper focusing on all of the things that went wrong. Like, oh, I said this to so and so and they gave me a weird look. So, like, we are over analyzing, overthinking every bad quote unquote thing that we've done that day, every interaction we had, all of these things. If we can shift it to what we accomplished or learned and give ourselves credit, that is breaking this pattern that is just not serving us. So enjoy that. Do it. The seventh one is reframing mistakes as learning opportunities. This is all about growth mindset. Shift your perspective on mistakes and imperfections. Instead of viewing them as failures, see them as opportunities for growth and learning. This is the thing. People don't do things perfectly the first time. If they do, it's a fluke. Our brains aren't made that way. Our brains need to make mistakes to learn because otherwise you do it the first time perfect. It's so hard to do it again perfect because your brain didn't know all of the ways to get to that result. So think about it like that. You're just training your brain to do what is right. And also, I don't know if you can hear my cat, but he's like hanging out here and he's purring and he's meowing. So if you hear him, that's Toby. So how we can do this is when you encounter a mistake, pause and reflect on what you can learn from it. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? How can I use this experience to improve next time? By reframing mistakes, you reduce the fear of imperfection and open up space for creative flow. Reflection is different than beating yourself up. Reflection is neutral, and that is where you want to be. Now, the eighth practice is aligning with your true self. So, a true self meditation. In IFS, your true self is the calm, centered, and compassionate core of who you are. By aligning with your true self, you can lead your internal system with more ease, which reduces the need for perfection. Spend a few minutes each day in meditation focusing on connecting with your true self. And you can do this many, many ways. And I've offered many ways on here, but so I always try to like offer new ideas. So this one's a new one. Imagine a warm, light energy at your core that radiates outwards, soothing all parts of you. Ask your true self how it can lead today, especially in areas where perfectionism takes over. And then listen, and then do it. So there you go. Those are the 8 practices to release perfectionism so you can manifest. By following these steps, you can begin to release the grip and stop perfectionism from blocking your manifestations. You also create space for the universe to bring in what you truly desire. Because think about it. If you are in a state where that perfectionist part is just blended and overtaking you, like how are you able to listen to the universe, take those aligned actions, listen to those nudges, the all of those things, right, that we're supposed to do for us to manifest if this part is always worrying that it's not going to be perfect or it's going to make a mistake, you're not going to be able to take aligned action. You're not going to be able to really even connect with the universe. So use these practices to release that perfectionism so you can manifest. Each practice is a small but powerful way to shift your energy from striving for an impossible ideal to embracing the flow of life, allowing for more authentic and aligned manifestations. Not only that, I mean, it's allowing for you to be your authentic self and not to this preconceived notion that you're trying to show the world out of fears that this part is holding on to. This is how you get to be you. And this is how you become magnetic. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this guide, these practices, and I hope they help you as much as they have helped me through the years with managing my perfectionism that, as you can see, does still pop up from time to time. So, happy manifesting, everybody. Take care now. Thank you for listening to the True Self Manifestation Podcast. Check out the show notes for any links mentioned on this episode. And while you're there, grab my free guide on how to tap into your intuition. This is the foundation to any manifestation practice. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And please leave a review where you listen to podcasts. And if you love this episode, share it with a friend. Thanks again. See you soon.